Welcome to Charchitra. Today we will be exploring the complete story and family tree of the Baahubali franchise. Spoiler alert for all the entries in the series. In Baahubali the beginning, the Rajaguru declares, for the first time an enemy flag flies over the soil of Mahishmati. But what if I told you there was a period when Mahishmati was under enemy rule? Also, have you ever wondered how Rajamada Shivagami Devi ended up marrying Bijaladeva? To know the answers to all these, let us dive into the video. Thousands of years ago, there existed a great civilization centered around Gauri Parvat. They exploited the mountain and had to pay the price for it. Their cities were destroyed and they were reduced to a barbaric tribe known as the Kalakiyas. This history is written down by a seer whose warnings were ignored and which ultimately led to the destruction of the civilization. This book was then held sacred and worshipped by the Kalagayas. Years later, a new civilization emerged around Gauri Parvat. They were known as the Vaitalikas. Unlike the Kalakayas, they worshipped the mountain and lived peacefully. Uttama Mahadeva, a vassal of Kadarimandalam, is on the run from the king of Kadarimandalam and seeks refuge with the Vaitalikas. The Vaitalika king, Katyayana Vaitalika, accepts him and treats him like a brother. Meanwhile, the Vaitalika queen's brother assaults the daughter of Ugranagappa, the commander of the Vaitalikas. He is refused justice and therefore agrees to be of service to Mahadeva and reveals the secret of Gauri Parvat. Together, they then oust the Vaitalikas from their kingdom and establishes Mahishmati. However, Mahishmati remained a subordinate to Kadrimandalam for generations under kings like Parmabhattara and Baahubali until the rise of Somadeva. Under Somadeva and his four friends, Devaraya, Timma, Parameshwara and Hiranya, mining in Gauri Parvat is restarted, a grave mistake for which the Kalagayas had to pay a heavy price. Mahishmati grows in power with money obtained from selling Gauri Padmam, a lotus-shaped diamond obtained from Gaurikanda stones mined from Gauri Parvat. The wealth acquired enables them to raise an army and win freedom from Kadarimandalam in the first battle of Padalaganga. But their independence is threatened when the Vaitalikas take control over Gauri Parvat. Luckily for Mahishmati, an opportunity presents itself. The sister of the Vaitalika chief Malayappa, a descendant of Ugranagappa, was rejected by a man. Malayappa ordered his execution, but the man was more popular and ousted Malayappa and his family. Seeking revenge, Malayappa requested Somadeva for help. In return, Malayappa had to pledge his and his descendants eternal slavery to the throne of Mahishmati. Malayappa agrees and the Vaitalikas are butchered by Somadeva, scattering the tribe. Vamana, a dwarf, steals the sacred book of the Kalagayas. The maps in the book enable him to offer his services to Mahishmati, providing them with the location of secret pathways inside the mountain, giving access to more stones. But it wasn't enough for the greed of Mahishmati. Then, Pattaraya, a young merchant, arrives to the scene. He strikes up a deal with Somadeva and eliminates any remaining opposition to the mining, and the Bhumipadi Guild is created. Under their suggestion, children are secretly used for mining as they can traverse narrow tunnels. A smallpox epidemic hits Mahishmati, claiming the lives of many. People protest against mining as they believed it to be a result of angering Amma Gauri, the deity of Gauri Parvat. Hence, the festival of Mahamagam is started, where the stones were hidden inside a Kali statue and brought inside Mahishmati. Devaraya then sets up a workshop where he uses the book he acquired from Vamana to unlock the secrets of Gaurikanta. He learns that a special alloy called Gauri Duli can be extracted from the stones and be used to forge incredibly powerful weapons. With their new and advanced weapons, Mahishmati invades Kadarimandalam in the Battle of Puve, killing its empress and drastically reducing its strength. Kadarimandalam followed matriarchy, and after the death of the empress, her daughter, Chitraveni ascended the throne. She resists Mahishmati's forces with her commander, Achinagamma. A few years later, Mahashmati gains complete control over Kadarimandalam. Chitraveni is deposed and her brother Narasimhavarman is made the king. Somadeva's cousin Shankaradeva is appointed as the governor of Kadarimandalam. To make Chitraveni accept Mahashmati's suzerainty, Somadeva sends Pattaraya. However, he falls in love with Chitraveni and agrees to discover the secret that made the weapons of Mahashmati so powerful, and in return for his services, Chitraveni promises to make their firstborn daughter her heir. Kadarimandalam becomes a vassal to Mahashmati. Its army is disbanded, while Achi vanishes into the forest. Mahashmati is now the supreme power, challenged by none. Somadeva goes on a conquest, bringing many more kingdoms under the vassalage of Mahashmati, including Kuntala and Prayag. During this period, Pradhan Guru, a respected sage, visits Mahashmati. Due to his paranoia, he believes Somadeva to have disrespected him and storms out of the Mahashmati court. He makes his disciple, an abducted prince, vow to destroy Mahashmati and the entire lineage of Somadeva. He trains the disciple to be the best warrior, and in the end, the disciple kills him and becomes the new Pradhan Guru. Devaraya inspects Gauri Parvat and to his shock discovers that children are being used for mining and that it took place with Somadeva's sanction. Devaraya tries to stop this cruelty but to no avail. Incidentally, he reads about the threat posed to Mahashmati by Gauri Parvat from the book of the Kalakeyas. He tries to convince Somadeva again but is rejected once more. In a desperate attempt, he threatens to reveal the secret about the mining to the public. In response, Somadeva kills Devaraya and his wife Kadambari, leaving their 5-year-old daughter Shivagami an orphan. She is then taken care of by Timma and his wife Bama, where their son Raghava develops feelings for her while Shivagami becomes an elder sister to their daughter Akila. 12 years later, Somadeva is ruling Mahashmati with an iron fist, with Parameshwara being his Mahapradhana and Hiranya his general. Timma is also by his side, serving as a Bhumipati. Somadeva is married to Queen Hemavati, and together they are the parents of the arrogant and power-hungry Bijaladeva and the kind-hearted poet Mahadeva. Shivagami gets to know that her father had hid a book in their house before he was executed. She goes to retrieve it along with Raghava, who confesses his feelings for her. Shivagami, however, rejects him, having considered him as her brother. Raghava then leaves, promising to help her in her mission to avenge her parents' death by destroying the royal family of Mahashmati. Shivagami gets the book and is later admitted to the royal orphanage by Timma, where she meets and befriends Kamakshi, the niece of Pattaraya and Gunduram. Meanwhile, Malayappa serves Somadeva loyally as his sevaka. His elder son Kattappa follows in his father's footsteps and serves Mahashmati, while the younger son Shivappa has since been a slave and joins the Vaitalikas, who plan to assassinate Somadeva during the coming Mahamagam. Shivappa is also the lover of Kamakshi. Kattappa goes in search of Shivappa but ends up being betrayed and left for dead. He is but saved by the pirate Jimota and Adli, the adopted daughter of Achinakama. Under her orders, Kattappa destroys the Kali statue intended for Mahamagam, before proceeding to Mahashmati and informing Mahadeva about the Vaitalika coup. Kattappa then continues his search for Shivappa, but stumbles upon Bijala raping Kamakshi. He tries to protect her, but she commits suicide, while Shivappa, who came searching for her, is framed the culprit by Bijala. Shivappa was to be executed, but Kattappa saved him by faking his death. Checking in on Shivagami, her book was confiscated by Skandadasa, Parameshwara's successor. She tries to retrieve it and flings it to Gunduramu, while she witnesses Pattaraya murdering Skandadasa. Gunduramu is kidnapped by Kanipati Hidumba, a nephew of Pattaraya, and taken to Gauri Parvat. Running away from Pattaraya, Shivagami ends up in the middle of the coup. She fights off an attacker in self-defense. However, it appeared as though she was saving Somadeva. As a result, she is made a Bhumipati, while Mahadeva is honored with the title of Vikramadeva. Pattaraya runs away from Ashmadi with his daughter Mikala, prompting the king to order Bijala to capture him. In order to ascend to the position of Bhumipadi, Shivagami has to kill a conspirator, Timma. She is forced to play a part in his death to carry out her revenge, while Bama dies of a broken heart, leaving Akila an orphan. Kattappa retrieves Shivappa from his grave, where Kattappa had buried him by making him inert. When Malayappa arrives, Shivappa kills him and runs away, where he is taken to a leper's village and declared the king of Vaitalikas. His only ambition now is to kill Bijala, while his brother harbors the same wish against him. Bijala catches up with Pattaraya and he buys Bijala with the promise of helping him ascend the throne of Mahashmati. The father-daughter duo then arrives to Kadarimandalam. A series of events follow and we end up with Shivagami knowing Mahashmati's history from Rudrabhatta, the royal priest, whom she later kills. She is determined to stop the mining and rescue Gundiramu, about whom she was informed by Ali. Talking about Ali, she betrays her lover Kattappa by poisoning him as she is aligned with Shivappa for the Vaitalika cause. They then reach Achi. Incidentally, Gundiramu too reaches them, providing them with the information on how to enter Gauripur before making his way to Shivagami. Ali pleads with Achi to spare Kattappa, promising to bring him to the site, but she is forced to hand over him to Jimoda. Shivappa takes over Gauri Parvat and leaves Achi to die, while in Kadarimandalam, Pattaraya assassinates Shankaradeva and takes over the kingdom. Unbeknownst to these advancements, Somadeva sends Mahadeva to prepare the new and partly filled Kali statue, and Bijala to bring the stones needed to fill the statue from Gauri Parvat. Shivagami accompanies Bijala in this journey. Mahadeva, who sought Jimoda's help in transporting the statue, is betrayed by him, as he was secretly aligned with Pattaraya. Ali rescues Mahadeva and escapes along with him and Kattappa. Jimoda arrives to Kadarimandalam, expecting the post of a minister, but Pattaraya simply makes him a galley slave. On their way to Gauri Parvat, Bijala receives news about Mahadeva's death and what happened at Kadarimandalam while Shivagami reunites with Gundiramu. Bijala leaves behind his father's orders to march on to Kadarimandalam and joins forces with Pattaraya. However, Shivagami wanted the soldiers to free Gauri Parvat, but the soldiers were hesitant to follow a woman who was just a Bhumipadi. Hence, Bijala proposes marriage to her, and the situation forces Shivagami to accept it, making her a princess of Mahashmati. The army divides and follows Bijala and Shivagami in their separate ways. Arriving to Bijala, he betrays his soldiers, and Somadeva is delivered the news of him being captured by Pattaraya, prompting him to depart to Kadarimandalam. Meanwhile, Shivagami and the trio of Ali, Kattappa and Mahadeva unites at Gauri Parvat, where they are attacked by the humongous Gauri Pakshis. Despite the challenges posed by the birds and the Vaitalikas, the Mahashmati army manages to gain control of the mountain, paving the path for a final showdown between Kattappa and Shivappa, which ends with Kattappa beheading his brother. Shivagami, jubilant at fulfilling her father's desire to stop the mining, declares Ali the queen of Vaitalikas, and the victorious party proceeds to Mahashmati. They are welcomed by two severed heads, that of Parameshwara and Hiranya. They soon realize Mahashmati has been subjugated. Dharmapala, a popular saint in Mahashmati, turned out to be Pattaraya's spy who attacked Mahashmati from within. And this Dharmapala was none other than Raghava, now full of hatred against Mahashmati and Shivagami for causing the death of his parents. Somadeva has been imprisoned, and Mahashmati is now a mere vassal of Kadarimandalam, ruled by Mekala, with Bijala serving as a consort. Shivagami is now just the junior wife of Bijala, and the mining she stopped is restarted, while Mahadeva's eyes are sewn shut by Bijala. So that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching.